Hello, and welcome to the Expert Spy Guide. I assume by now that you have watched my previous guides, or you are an experienced player looking for extra tips on how to get more kills as Spy. In this tutorial, I'll be talking about some strategies that should only be attempted once you learn the basics of the class, and can comfortably play Spy and do well. If you are a new player, you can definitely try these tactics, but you should really get the core mechanics of Spy down before you do. In this guide, I will be discussing trick stabs, chain stabs, advanced spy capping, and how to work with other spy players. So without further ado, let's get right into it. I'm sure as a spy player, you have attempted trick stabs before, but a lot of spy players think about them too literally when trying certain stabs. What I mean by this is a spy player will think, okay, I need to hit this matador stab, and perform it exactly as they have seen in videos. Sometimes this can work, but instead of thinking of it as a matador stab, just think of it like this. Okay, no matter what I do, I need to get his back hitbox in front of me. When attempting trick stabs, the main goal is to get your opponent to look away from you. You can do this by crossing your enemy, just like in basketball. For example, I will hit the A key to strafe left, but then immediately hit the D key and go right, all while having my eyes on the enemy the entire time. When you see an enemy's back, put your crosshair on them and click your mouse. Most people know this, but the knife raise animation doesn't need to finish before you stab someone. Sometimes these trick stabs can happen in a fraction of a second, so it will all just take practice to develop the muscle memory. Remember, trick stabs work because your enemy is not expecting it. Most of the time anyway. Besides conventional stabs on the ground, your other useful trick stabs will be your drop stabs. Once again, this will take practice and mechanical skill to pull off, but essentially you want to jump off any surface high enough to get above an enemy's head, and stab their back upon landing. This can be done on just about any raised surface, but feels the most satisfying when done from a very high drop, in my opinion. Your goal is to line up the trajectory of you falling with the direction they are walking. When you combine these two mindsets for getting trick stabs, you can get a trick stab in just about every scenario, as long as you remember to watch your health. I might be making it sound simple, but that's because it is. It just takes a bit of practice to get good at. Practicing chain stabs is a bit easier than trick stabs in my opinion, especially if the enemy team isn't very aware. The best thing to pay attention to when trying to stab multiple people is 1. Is anyone from the enemy team behind me? 2. How noisy is it? And 3. How much health do I have? The first two are pretty simple. You'll usually want the entire enemy team in front of you and preferably distracted by your team shooting at them, and you want it to be very loud so they don't hear the stabs as you work your way through them. The third thing, how much health do I have, has a bit more leeway. If you are using the kunai and can get your first stab, you are usually overhealed enough to try and stab more people. If you are using stock knife and have low health, you may want to find a medkit first. The Big Earner specifically will allow you to get out after stabs and grab health, much like the Dead Ringer, so it's mostly dependent on your loadout. The loadouts you are running will determine how effective you are at staying alive after getting a big chain stab. Although, in the grand scheme of the game, if you die after stabbing a few players of the enemy team, it is usually okay because you have already made a big impact. But as I say in all of my videos, you are always more valuable to your team alive, so you should do your best to get out after a good chain stab. What I see a lot of new spy players doing after they get a couple stabs is they will often run right back into the enemy team thinking that they are invincible, only to get taken down in 2 hits. It's true that with the kunai you may be able to stay alive to get another stab, but remember, the kunai does not make you unstoppable. If you take a couple pipes or rockets to the face, then you're done for. Before trying to go crazy with the kunai, I strongly recommend you play with the stock knife for a bit, as it will allow you to better understand the correct time to retreat. Another knife that is great for chain stabs is the Yur. The Yur Eternal Reward is a bit different than other knives in terms of trick stabs. With the Yur, if there's enough noise, then you can stab enemies that are grouped up, eliminating the need for the team to be all in front of you. You just need to hope no one realizes what weapon you're using before it's too late. Remember though, teams that are aware will usually turn around and see you after the first stab, so unless the enemies are distracted, you will usually want to go back into cloak after a stab or two. I have quite a few spy capping videos, but what doesn't really get shown is the game sense you need to pull it off. For example, in this clip I had to wait for the enemy team to crits and push up too far before going in for the cap. This ensures that the enemies can't get back to the cart in time to stop me. This can also be done throughout multiple attempts. You don't need to always stay on the cart until you die. If the enemy team is aware or a player is coming towards you while spy capping, you should feel free to back off and go find some health and ammo while you wait for them to leave. Sometimes teams will keep a player stuck to the cart the entire time. In these instances, you will most likely need to kill that player before capping. The good news is that teams rarely have multiple people on the cart, meaning that if you can manage to get the drop on one player, you can get some cap time. You can even pull this off as other classes if you are lucky. I won't lie however, solo capping the cart is not always possible when you're playing against a well-coordinated team. Rarely, if the enemies catch on to your attempt to spy cap, they may put more than just one person on the cart, or they'll bring up pyros to constantly check for you. In these scenarios, your best option is to either pick off the enemy silently, one by one, or wait for your team to push and cause a distraction. Most players will not stand still if they are being shot at by a sniper or bombed by a soldier, and if they are on the cart, then those instances may give you just enough time to push the cart a little bit further. One more thing to take into account when spy capping is the enemy sentries. Most of the time there will be a sentry or two watching the cart. The trick is to decloak on the side of the cart that the sentry cannot see, and if they have sentries on all sides, you will need to focus on taking them down before you can cap. No, don't do it. Using these tactics and patience for spy capping, you will be able to tip that cart over the edge. It was admittedly hard to get good footage of spies working together, as it seems most of the time when there are multiple spies, they usually end up stepping on each other's toes. But if you and another spy start paying attention to what the other is doing, you can use this to your advantage. This is similar to using distractions like I've covered in the past. Spies tend to attract a lot of attention when they are decloaked, causing players to chase them to the ends of the earth. It's often advantageous for one spy to get the enemy's attention, while the second sneaks up behind them. This will often cause some rage in the chat at the knowledge that there are two spies working on the same wavelength, or confusion at how the spy they are chasing stabbed them. You can also do this without the other spy's knowledge. If you know he is about to attack an enemy, hang back and see what happens. After a team recently kills a spy, they rarely expect a second one to be right behind them again. You can technically use any teammate as bait, but as I said, players will chase spies to the ends of the earth. A problem I see is that a lot of newer spies will follow other spies around, but this isn't always ideal. Yes, two spies working together can be good, but you need to be aware of ammo and health packs, and also where the enemies are on the map. I can't count how many times I'm running low on cloak, and another spy will take the ammo pack, leaving me exposed, or I'm being chased by a soldier and I need the health kit, but I see another spy run by and grab it real quick. So in addition to paying attention to your fellow spy, also pay attention to your surroundings at all times. So today I talked about the mindsets you should have when attempting trick stabs, how to get chain stabs and survive, how to solo cap a cart with enemies around, and explain how to work with other spies. Now there may be scenarios which I didn't cover when attempting these things, but it's more about the mindset approaching these tasks you should always have in your mind. For example, there are a million different types of trick sabs you can try, but if you always approach it with the mindset of, I need to get their backs in front of me, then you're golden. The same with spy capping. You may have scouts running around the cart constantly instead of pyros, but if you always think, I can cloak and come back later to try and cap again, then your odds of actually capping are much higher. So always keep these tips in the back of your mind. If you can do that, then you can easily carry your team to victory. That's it for today. If you liked the video, drop a like. If you want to learn more, check out the spy tutorial playlist. Good luck and have fun.